It started with the sound. A deep hum. Powerful. Not the rickety engines Nora was used to hearing around Ajegunle. People turned their heads. Mama Kudi stepped outside, wiping her hands on her wrapper. Even the meat pie man paused his hawking chant. The car came to a slow stop in front of the canteen. A sleek black Range Rover. Clean. Untouchable. The kind of car that didn't belong anywhere near a place like this. Nora stood frozen behind the okra pot. The driver's door opened, and a man stepped out. Tall. Dark. Clean-shaven. His shirt was tucked into tailored pants, his shoes shining like mirrors. But it was his eyes that made the crowd hush. They were sharp, serious, but not cruel. Like he had lived through storms and survived. He looked directly at her. "You're Nora?" he asked. Her throat dried up. She nodded. "Get in," he said. A few mouths gasped around her. Someone dropped a spoon. Nora's legs trembled. "Why?" He didn't smile. "Because you returned something no one else would have returned. And I want to know why." The inside of the car smelled of leather and lemon. Cold air hit her skin like a surprise. She sat rigid, hands clenched in her lap. Damien sat beside her, relaxed but unreadable. He offered her a juice box. She blinked at it. "I figured you wouldn't take anything fancy," he said. She took it with shaking hands. Sipped slowly. The cold mango taste hit her empty stomach hard. He turned to her. "You could have taken the cash. $1,000 in Mushin. That's a miracle." She nodded slowly. "It was tempting. But you didn't." "No. Because it wasn't mine." His lips curved, not quite a smile, more like surprise. "You were treated badly at my office." "I heard." She looked down. "It's okay. I didn't expect anything. That's what shocks me." He paused. "People like me, we don't get things for free. There's always a catch." Nora looked at him. "I'm not people like you." Silence settled between them, soft and strange. "Can I come back tomorrow?" he asked. She blinked. "Why?" He shrugged. "Because it's been a long time since I talked to someone who doesn't want something from me." He came back the next day. And the next. Always in that same black Range Rover, always during lunch break, always with juice or puff-puff from a real bakery. He never touched her. Never flirted. Never promised anything. He just listened. She talked about Zeno. About how their mother died giving birth to him. How their father was killed during a protest years ago. How she wanted to write stories, real stories, not just the kind people read for escape. He listened like he was studying every word. One afternoon, he asked, "Do you still write?" She blushed. "Sometimes. In notebooks." "Can I see one?" She hesitated, then dug out an old blue notebook from her nylon bag. The pages were stained with stew and sweat, but her words were still there. He flipped through them, slow and serious. "You write like someone who's seen too much," he said. "Maybe I have." He handed it back. "Promise me you won't stop." Soon, people started talking. Bloggers caught blurry photos of the black Range Rover. A few online forums screamed, "Silent Tycoon visits Slum Girl daily." "What's the story?" Mama Kudi pulled Nora aside. "This man, he's not your type. Don't let sweet talk ruin you." "It's not like that," Nora whispered. But even Zeno started to ask, "Are you his girlfriend?" She laughed. "I don't think he has a girlfriend." Then one day, Damien didn't show up. Or the next day. Or the next. She tried to shrug it off. Maybe he was busy. But her chest ached with the absence. That's when Mama Kudi told her not to come back. People are saying things. Business is suffering. Your face is in too many phones. Nora didn't argue. She packed her things, hugged Zeno tightly, and started hawking fruit near the main road. Life returned to hard mode. Weeks passed. She hadn't heard from Damian. No Range Rover. No message. She convinced herself it didn't matter. He was rich. Bored. Done. Then Zeno came home with a new inhaler. Imported. Fool. Where did you get this? She asked. A man dropped it off. Left a bag too. Inside the bag were groceries. Rice. Beans. A bottle of honey. 6 months of rent paid, receipt included. No note. No name. But she knew. She sat on their floor that night, clutching the receipt to her chest. Why would he disappear and still help? Zeno, half asleep, murmured, maybe he doesn't want to be thanked. She didn't sleep that night. The next day, she received a black envelope at the wig stand. It was thick. Elegant. Smelled of citrus. Inside, an invitation card. Gold foil letters. You are formally invited to the annual Isacop Foundation Gala, Victoria Island. Dress code, black and white. At the bottom, in small handwriting. I'd like to finish our conversation. Nora had never worn a gown before. Not even at her school's graduation. Esther, the wig seller, loaned her a long black dress with a tear under the armpit. Just don't raise your hands, she joked, pinning it with safety pins. Zeno helped polish her slippers. The closest thing she had to shoes. They stood in silence when the black car pulled up again. Not the Range Rover this time, a slicker, longer car. The driver stepped out, opened the door. Miss Nora. Her knees nearly buckled. Inside the car, she could barely breathe. The seats were butter-soft. A cold bottle of water waited in the cup holder. The windows darkened as they pulled away from the slums. The gala was being held in a glass-angled building lit up like a Christmas story. Photographers waited outside. Nora almost turned around. Until Damian stepped out from the main entrance and offered his hand. Still trust me? He asked. I shouldn't, she whispered. But you do. She took his hand. Inside, chandeliers sparkled like diamonds. Music floated. Women wore dresses that could pay rent for a year. Nora walked like she didn't exist. But Damian walked with her like she belonged beside him. They moved from group to group. Damian made small talk. Businessmen, politicians, actresses in glitter. All eyes slid toward Nora. Some curious. Some cruel. Lillian, his assistant, walked up holding a tablet. Sir, they're asking for photos. Damian looked at Nora. You okay? She nodded stiffly. Flashbulbs popped. A reporter leaned in. And you are? Nora, she said. Just Nora. Later, in the bathroom, 2 women entered behind her. They didn't see her in the store. I heard he picked her off the street. She looks like she came to serve food, not eat it. I bet she'll be gone by next week. Damian gets bored. Nora stood frozen. She left early, avoiding Damian's eyes. On the ride home, she didn't say a word. He didn't force her to. When she got out, he touched her wrist gently. I'm sorry. You didn't say anything. I didn't have to. I brought you into a world that wants you to feel small. But you're not. She nodded. But her eyes were wet. She stopped picking his calls after that. Avoided his driver. Deleted his texts without reading them. He sent flowers. Then books. Then nothing. The silence was louder than any apology. Nora returned to hawking, but things had changed. People stared. Whispers followed her everywhere. Mama Kudi called her a distraction. Esther said business slowed since Nora's face started appearing on Instagram. Eventually, even Zino asked, "Why don't you go to him? He likes you." "I'm not a fairy tale," she said quietly. But she missed him. Terribly. One night, she took out her old blue notebook. "Read what he had underlined weeks ago. I want to write stories where girls like me don't have to be saved. Just sin." She cried until dawn. 1 month passed. Then came the second envelope. This one wasn't an invitation. It was a letter. "Nora, I don't blame you for leaving. I brought you into a world built on masks and expectations. I thought I could protect you from it. I was wrong. But I won't ask for another chance. I just want you to have this. Because I believe in the girl who returned the wallet. And I always will. Come if you want. But only if it's for you. D." Inside the envelope was a certificate, Managing Director, Nora Foundation for Girls. With it, a debit card in her name. A modest monthly salary. Office address in Yoba, not far from Ajigunle. No strings. No press. No photos. Zino stared at it like gold. "You're going, right?" he whispered. She looked out the window. "I'm going." The building was small, painted sky blue, with flowers in pots by the steps. Inside, Nora found a clean desk, a laptop, a chair with her name on it. A woman with dreadlocks introduced herself. "I'm Kemi. I'll be assisting you. Damien said your only job is to help girls like you were. You decide how." It felt unreal. Like walking into a future she never thought she'd touch. She started by creating a scholarship fund for girls from Mushin. Organized free weekend writing classes. Arranged for donated laptops. Every day, she felt more real. More full. One afternoon, Kemi brought in a lunch tray. "I didn't order anything," Nora said. "It's from the janitor." She looked up. Damien stood at the doorway, holding a mop. "Hi," he said softly. She stared at him, stunned. "You're the janitor now." "I was tired of being the CEO." They both laughed. The office was quiet, save for the sound of Nora's keyboard and the occasional clink of a teacup. Damien had returned for the third time that week, mop in hand, pretending to be the janitor. "Is this how you unwind?" she asked, watching him wipe a spotless window. "I've made too many deals in rooms where people lied to me. This place feels cleaner." Nora smiled. "Because the walls don't talk. Because you don't lie." She didn't answer. Her heart was steady now. The old panic that once stirred whenever he showed up was gone. She'd survived his word. Built her own. "Thank you," she finally said. "For what?" "For not rescuing me. For giving me tools instead." Damien walked over and placed a book on her desk. A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. "I thought of you when I reread this," he said. "A woman who wants to write must have her own space." She turned the book in her hands. "I have that now." He watched her. "Do you still write?" "Every night. I'd like to read something." "Maybe." He came again the next Sunday. But this time, to Ajigunle. Not in the Range Rover. Just him, on foot, in a simple shirt and jeans. People stared, unsure if he was an actor or a politician. Mama Kudi nearly dropped a whole pot of stew when she saw him standing by the pepper grinder. "You," she shouted, then smiled without meaning to. He greeted her with both hands. Bought jollof rice for Zino. Sat on a plastic chair and asked, "Do you have malt?" Nora sat beside him, laughing. "You don't blend in very well." "That's the point," he said. They walked to the old railroad tracks that evening. Children played nearby. Smoke curled from burning trash. I was 6 when I realized my parents didn't raise me, he said. They paid people to. Nora nodded. I had everything, except warmth. She didn't pity him. Just listened. I don't want to lose you again, he said after a pause. You never had me, she replied, softly. He smiled. But could I? I don't know yet, she said honestly. But this, being here, with you, not pretending, it's a good place to start. The hall was smaller than the gala. No chandeliers. Just string lights and rented chairs. But the energy was alive. Young girls from Mushin, Ageji, Ajegunle all filled the space. There were writing kits on the tables, donated laptops at the back, and printed programs with Nora's name on them. She stood at the front in a modest white gown. Her voice trembled at first but grew steady. I never imagined being in a room like this. I come from where girls are told to shrink. But I believe we are more than what the world lets us be. This trust, this space, is for every girl who was told no before she ever asked. The room erupted into applause. Damien watched from the back, not standing at the center, not trying to shine. Just watching her become everything he'd seen in her from day one. Later, he approached her quietly. You made this? No, she said, I just opened the door. They'll walk through it. Then she did something she hadn't done since that day in the car. She held his hand. 1 year passed like a sunrise, slow, warm, unstoppable. The Nora Trust had helped send 20 girls to university. 3 girls got internships at newspapers. 2 started blogs. 1 got published. Nora moved into a small flat in Yoba. Zino started school again, his asthma finally under control. Damien still visited, but not with loud promises. He brought books. Shared tea. Took walks. They talked more than touched, loved more than labeled. One quiet evening, as rain drizzled outside her window, Nora sat writing in her journal. Damien looked over her shoulder. What are you writing? She smiled. A story. About what? She closed the book gently. About a poor girl who found a wallet. And gave it back. Not because she was a saint. Not because she wanted anything in return. But because she was tired of people assuming she'd take what wasn't hers. He watched her. And what did she get in return? She looked at him. Not what she expected. Nora stood on the rooftop of her office building, barefoot, wind in her braids. Below her, the sounds of Lagos Post, cars, shouting, laughter, life. She had just signed off on a new branch of the trust opening in Port Harcourt. Lillian now walked under her. Zino was learning French. And Damien. He had officially stepped down from public view. Sold his shares. Now spent his days building schools and reading in dusty libraries. They still hadn't used the word marriage. Nora didn't care. She looked up at the sky and thought of the girl she used to be. The one who bent down to sweep trash off the front of a canteen. The one who opened a wallet and saw her whole life flicker like a match. She opened her notebook and wrote the final sentence of her newest story. Sometimes, the richest thing you'll ever own is your own name. And that was how it ended. Not with a kiss. Not with a crown. But with a girl, a pen, and her power.